Hello everybody! For today's video, I'm going to be doing a Valentine's Day makeup tutorial for you. Hi! I was like, ooh, I'm going to do something like so intense, like pink and purple and sparkly, yes! And then I was like, Jacqueline, get it together. In all reality, probably honestly 85 to 90% of women on Valentine's Day aren't going to realistically want to do like hot pink and purple and glitter. Like they're going to want to do something more flattering and feminine and soft, but still kind of sultry and sexy. You know what I'm saying? So this is the look that I came up with. I really wanted to focus on like the inner glow of the skin and not so much like a blinding highlight, like a Mack truck coming at you like in the dead of night on interstate, but more just like an all over glow from within. So I definitely took the steps to do that today. If you are oily and if it is your nightmare to be all over like glowy or dewy, then just skip right past that part. But as far as the eyes, I wanted to keep it smoky but soft and subtle. There's no black incorporated, no black eyeliner, no black eyeshadow, so just very, very simple. And of course a bold red lip just to give it that little something something. I really hope that you guys enjoy. This top is falling off of me. Like I need to get it together. I'm not gonna lie, I'm wearing sweatpants right now. You wanna see? You wanna see the truth of life? Yes! Yeah. Damn, I really am thirsty today. Hello everybody, I'm so happy to be filming. It's Super Bowl Sunday and you already know that I don't give up. I took a poll on Twitter a couple days ago asking you guys if you prefer voiceovers or talk through makeup tutorials, and talk through won by a ton. I think it won at like 70-something%. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a talk through makeup tutorial today for Valentine's Day. Yay! For today, I'm going to be using some new products, well at least new to me, or things that I haven't used in a long time maybe. I don't know, but I don't want it just to be the same thing as always. So I'm going to try some different techniques and kind of trying to switch it up. Let's see how we do and let's jump into it. Okay, so I'm going to start off by priming my face, of course. I'm using the Guerlain primer. Whatever primer you want for your skin needs, go ahead and slap that bad boy on. Make sure your fingers are nice and clean. Big rule of thumb, don't want to spread any germs. Don't want to get any bacteria on your skin, so make sure your hands are clean before doing anything on your face with your fingers. I'm also going to take some Makeup Forever smoothing primer as well and put that in the center of my face because I definitely am battling some texture right now. So I'm going to take a pretty generous amount of that and I'm going to put it right in this area around my nose. I'm going to be using the Hourglass Vanish Stick Foundation. It's my favorite foundation ever, but I actually wanted to use something different for today's look, but I can't because I don't have my shade in any other foundation currently than the Vanish one. So last night I jumped on Sephora and ordered like a bunch of my favorite foundations in my shade because recently I have been just embracing my like natural fair skin, so everything else is like a deeper golden shade from my spray tans. So I'm going to be sticking with this today. I'm going to be using shade Ivory and shade Bisque and just drawing stripes on my face. I know it looks like I'm applying a lot of foundation. That's because I am applying a lot of foundation. But the thing that I love about this Hourglass Vanish foundation is I honestly feel like you can put so much on and like it never gets cakey. It doesn't build up or get slimy. I don't know, it's weird, but that's why it's my favorite. I'm going to be adding in the Cover FX Custom Enhancer Drops. They come in several different shades. I am using the shade Celestial because it is the lightest one. And what I'm going to do is just with the dropper, I'm going to put this on the back of my hand. I'm going to be using a much smaller brush than normal. I'm going to be using a small synthetic guy like this. I learned this tip from Nicole, known as Lipstick Nick. She did my makeup when I was out in LA for a photo shoot, and she was using this tiny little brush, and I was like, what are you using? And she's like, it's the Morphe E8. I love using this to apply foundation. I was like, interesting. And I loved the way my foundation looked. So now I've been using a small synthetic brush and I love it. And this is the Morphe Y10 from like their gold collection. So I'm going to just pick up a little bit of that highlighter on the brush. I'm going to tap off a little bit because that's just a wee bit too much. I'm going to begin just to blend this out. I'm going to pick up a little bit more of that highlighter on the back of my hand on the brush. and then just do the same thing to the other cheek. And if you weren't gonna use a stick foundation and you wanted to do this, all you would do is just mix it all together in the back of your hand. You would do like a couple pumps of your foundation in the back of your hand and then a small drop of the highlighter and then just mix it together and then apply it on your face. But I'm doing it this way since I used a stick foundation. All right, I'm gonna be trying a different concealer today, and this is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place Flawless Wear Concealer. My friend Jackie told me that she loves this months and months and months ago, so I bought it and I just misplaced it and I found it yesterday and I was like, ooh, let's give this a try. You guys have absolutely no idea how hard it is for me to try a new concealer when I am so dedicated to a current one. Like right now, the Tarte Shape Tape is my everything. So just putting this on my face, I'm like, what am I doing? I don't know. I am so crazy about concealers, but I need to start branching out and trying more things. I need to get it together. I'm gonna just grab a damp beauty sponge and just blend that out and let's see how it looks. Oh my gosh, I just love a damp beauty sponge. I swear to God, I feel like it's a tool that I will never be able to give up. Nothing blends out my under eye like a damp beauty sponge. All right, now I'm just gonna take some RCMA No Color Translucent Powder. You already know it, just on the tip of my damp beauty blender. And yes, the beauty blender is still damp. Just make sure that it's not soaking. I mean, if your beauty blender is really, really damp, it's not gonna apply your concealer or your powder right. So make sure that there's no excess water in it, that you totally wring it out, and then you'll be able to use any powder you want. And I think the damp beauty sponges apply powder so beautifully. Now I'm gonna take some Cover FX translucent powder and I'm going to just very lightly, like from the cap, just take a little bit and just super duper lightly put this on my face. I don't want to like add any coverage or anything. I just wanna make sure that everything that I applied is gonna stay in place. All right, now I'm gonna fill in my brows. Normally I do eyeshadow and then brows, but recently I've just been getting crazy, y'all. I've been getting crazy up in here and do my brows first. So I'm gonna just comb everything upward with the spoolie and then just begin to fill in where I see needed. Can you imagine if I left my brows like this? Would you guys still love me? Okay, sorry, I'm wiping the foundation off my lips because it was looking like super crusty and gross. Anyways, for today's eye look, I'm gonna be playing with the new ColourPop single eyeshadows, which I am so excited to play with because these were sent to me like the past 2 weeks, I would say, and thank you ColourPop for sending me these. They're so pretty. These are just the neutrals. These are not like the whole collection, but I put the neutrals in a palette, of course. You know me, I was so excited about the colors. And I swatched them like 2 nights ago and was like, whoa, like the pigmentation, they seemed so pigmented and so creamy. So I'm really excited to actually like use them today and give them a go and see how they apply. I'm gonna start off with the lightest matte brown, and this is in the shade Wake Up Call. I'm just gonna apply that to my crease area with a fluffy brush. I'm gonna zoom you in. I'm just going to place this right in that outer corner and then just dust it in this whole crease area. I'm not really going too much into the inner corner. I'm staying more out here. And then once I basically have nothing left on my brush, that's when I'll just like slightly swoop it in this area. All right, now I'm gonna pick up Note to Self, which is a little bit deeper and more of like a caramel brown. This color is so pretty. I'm just gonna layer that right over top of what we just did, but just packing it on this lower crease a little bit more, not lower crease, sorry, outer corner of the lid a little bit more, just to deepen that up and then swoop it up into the crease. All right, now I'm gonna pick up this really dark kind of neutral brown, and this is in the shade Cloud 9. I got eyeshadow all over myself, and on a small definer brush like this guy right here, I'm going to just put that on the upper lash line. I want this to be the darkest on the outer portion of the eye, and so once I get to the center and the inner corner, I'm gonna go really, really lightly because I don't want it to be as pigmented in that area. I basically have nothing left on my brush right now, and I'm just kind of going over it, just flickering it. I'm putting a little bit more on my brush and just slightly going upward, and now we're gonna go back and forth. Okay, so just a quick note, as I'm applying my eyeshadow, I'm noticing that this new Estee Lauder concealer that I tried is breaking up in my under eye. It's not super bad, but Tarte Shape Tape would not be doing this to me. All right, and now for the lid, I'm gonna go in with some shimmer so we can make this very feminine and dainty and girly. And I'm going to be using You Know the Drill. And I'm also going to mix it with Let Me Explain because I like them both. This one's like a little bit darker of a champagne and this one's like a lighter champagne. So I'm gonna mix them together and apply those to the lid. Okay, yes. These are pretty nice. I'm gonna take a little bit more of that dark brown and pop it on this lash line because that shimmery color just covered a lot of it up, which is fine that it covered some of it up, but I just wanna make sure that we have a little definition in there. I'm gonna take a little precision brush like this. I have been obsessed with little brushes recently just to get nice and tight into certain areas. And I'm going to just take that dark brown and just emphasize a little bit of it and just make sure that this outer area, not taking it up high, nice and low, is just gonna make sure that it's got like a oomph. I'm gonna make sure that like this really lower outer corner, just right here, not up in the crease, but just super low, just has that depth. See on this eye how it doesn't have like a lot of depth right there? Which it's fine if you want to keep it soft like that, but I just want to get in there and make sure that just that outer corner is nice and dark, just for like a little bit of like a sexier, more smoldering, sultry look. I'm just going back in with a little bit more of those browns that I used before. I'm just going to make sure that we have no harsh lines. So for my lower lash line, I'm going to take that same dark brown shade that I've been using basically the whole time, and I'm going to just lightly put it just on the outer corner for this moment. Picking up those light brown mattes, I'm going to just blend this out with a fluffy brush. I'm going to apply some mascara now so that my lashes are nice and black. I'm using the L'Oreal Voluminous Carbon Black. I'm going to be using my favorite lashes. Of course, I'm obsessed with them right now, and they are the Intoxicating Lashes by Flutter. Oh my gosh. They are Drama Llama, which is why I love them. They just make any look so just sassy and flirty. I'm obsessed, but they are dramatic. So don't buy these unless you want the drama. I am so frustrated at my under eye right now from this concealer. I do not like it. Like, it is breaking up so bad. I'm trying to like add some powder under there to like stop the breakage and maybe give some coverage back, but it's like, oh no, I am not happy with it. All right, time to put some mascara on my lower lashes. I'm gonna be using the MAC Extended Play Giga Black Lash. It's such a long name for a mascara. So now moving on to the face, I'm going to be contouring using the Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow palette. It looks like this. I know I've used the highlight before, but I don't think I've ever actually used this like bronzing, sculpting shade. So let's hope it looks pretty. I'm always really scared to try new contour colors. I don't know, it's just something that I'm afraid of because it's like the whole face is basically done at this point, and if you put on a contour color that's like super muddy or just too red or just not your color, you're just like, damn it! Like, I don't know, I get really nervous. I feel like that's why I really like to stick with my bronzer and contours. Like, I'm very devoted and I never want to like step outside the box, so it's very hard for me to try new things. Okay, this is a pretty color. This is pretty! Yay! Definitely has a little bit of a red undertone on me, which I don't typically love. Do you see all that texture right there? What's going on with me? For blush, I'm going to be using Becca Cosmetics Flower Child. I want my cheeks definitely to have like a pink blushing, very girly vibe. Just taking that same damp beauty sponge as earlier and just kind of carving out what I just applied to keep it nice and clean. I pretty much do this no matter what, unless it's just like day to day and I'm using a huge fluffy bronzer brush just to apply bronzer kind of everywhere. I always carve this out just to clean it up so that it doesn't look messy. I'm gonna put in some clear brow gel while I'm letting that sit so I can get these brows under control. I always wait towards the very end to do my clear brow gel just because as I'm applying my makeup, like I'll hit my brows, I'll move them around. So I just wait until the very, very end to apply this so that they're just signed, sealed, delivered. Now I'm just gonna clean that up with a brush. You can see it just makes that area look much more put together and just not like a hot mess. I'm gonna grab the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder in the shade Luminous Light, one of my favorite highlighting powders if you want a really like natural, subtle glow. I just love this one so much. It's what like all the women in my family use. I'm gonna grab a big brush and what I'm gonna do is basically just dust this almost everywhere, like on all of my high points because it's so subtle, but it's just gonna give you like honestly a glow from within. It's just gonna give you inner radiance. It's not gonna be like bam highlight. It's just gonna give you a really pretty soft feminine glow. Now, if you are really oily, this would probably be your worst nightmare, but if you are dry to normal and you don't have to fight with oil constantly breaking through your makeup, then this would be the ideal way to really get that just like inner beam of radiance that girls like me who are always dry to normal are searching for. I'm gonna go back to that Charlotte Tilbury highlighting and contour palette. I'm gonna grab a really light amount of this highlight because it is already a really, really subtle shade, but I'm going to just put a pinch right there at the tops of the cheekbones. All right, and now for lips, I'm going to be using one of the new Morphe liquid lipsticks in the shade Morphe. It's cute, right? Because like Morphe red, okay, we're gonna use my code. Please use my code. So now to finish this look, I'm just gonna go in with some Makeup Forever Mist and Fix Setting Spray. And I'm gonna spray my entire face. Whenever I'm waiting for my finishing spray to dry, I always just try to stare straight forward. Because if you look up or look down, you can make your eyeliner or your mascara smudge all over your face because your face is wet. So I try to look just straight forward for like a full 60 seconds until it's dry. All right, so that completes this look. Of course I had to change and put on some pretty earrings, but leaving the greasy hair in the ponytail. Okay. Anyway, so the one thing I take away from this video trying a couple new products is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Concealer I did not like. And I hate to say that, which is why I don't typically do first impressions on camera because I hate to say negative things about brands. Typically, if a product comes out and I try it and I don't talk about it, that means I don't like it. If that makes sense. Like I tried tons of things off camera, but on camera, I just don't like giving things a negative review. But I know a lot of people like the honesty and I didn't like this concealer. It went on so beautifully, very full coverage, and it dried really quickly and very matte. So I had really high hopes, but throughout doing my makeup, it was just breaking up, creasing, and just kind of like fading away. It was like just running down my eye area. So I am not a fan of that concealer, sadly. As far as the ColourPop eyeshadows, I am super duper impressed with these. These are really nice, especially for the price. Like very creamy, very pigmented. I didn't have any trouble blending whatsoever, like really, really beautiful. I hope that they expand the line because I love me some single eyeshadows. I hope that they make it like a really huge line because they're really beautiful. The only thing that I don't love about them is there is a lot of kickback, meaning like when you take your brush and you like go to like dip into a color, I don't know if it's in focus. If you go to like dip into a color like this, like you see how much product comes up, so you constantly have to be tapping, constantly have to be blowing off the product, which is not that big of a deal, especially for the price. If it's gonna be like a $40 eyeshadow, then that's bothersome, but for the price, it's not that big of a deal. But that's honestly the only negative in them that I discovered. So yeah, that's it, you guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this talk through Valentine's Day look. I personally love this look. I think it's super girly and super feminine, and it's pretty easy to do if you guys follow along. think it's pretty easy. So anyways, I'm gonna stop talking. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful Valentine's Day. Even if you don't have a man, even if you're all by yourself, I hope that you have a wonderful day celebrating you. So thank you so much for watching. I love you, and I'll see you later. Mwah! Bye.